we're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. This is the Keeper's Corner podcast with your hosts, Matt Sterling and Brandon Brooks. Let's get into it.
Oh, that's why. Okay. Fix that. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Utica Keeper Corner podcast. Just Matt here, no Brandon tonight. He has some work commitments, so flying solo. Just going to be doing recaps of the past two games against Empire and San Diego, a little look back at the first half of the season, as well as previewing the weekend games against Baltimore and St. Louis. That'll be the first time the team sees the ambush this year, and fifth time facing off against Baltimore. Not a whole lot to say, just as a fan, except thankfully Nilton is back. It took most of the season to this point, but his injury looks to be behind him. He came out hot in the first game with 2 goals and 2 assists, including the game-winning goal. From here we got to wonder if it's going to be too little too late, but yeah, it's something to talk about as the show goes on. The two games were the 10-9 win over Empire and the 11-4 loss to San Diego. Two very different games with Utica looking drastically different in both of them. We'll get into the Empire game. Though Brandon's not here, he did share a couple things with me. His stat to tell the story for this one was pretty much that the teams were very evenly matched. If you look across the board, stats were close, and the final goal line says that. Pull up here if the MASL webpage wants to load for me. Come on. There we go. Yeah, I mean, it was a 10-9 game, decided in the final minute. 30 shots to 29 shots. Goalkeepers played about an even game. Orozco did have a goal to help his side. But that is, that's basketball. That goalkeeper is going to be involved. But yeah, you go to the stat sheet and it shows you that these were two very evenly matched teams. And unfortunately, that's something you can expect from the two teams at the bottom of the MASL table. There's not quite similar styles, although Utica is not averse to pushing Wilkin up and using him as a pseudo sixth attacker. We've seen it work earlier in the season. We saw it on Saturday night against San Diego. But Empire plays that a lot more, and it led to a very high-scoring, fast-paced, back-and-forth game. And for my stat that tells the story, it is that the largest lead of the game was those 2 goals by Utica. It came in the first quarter when Utica went up 3-1, and it was short-lived. The game was tied before the end of the quarter, less than 6 minutes later, with that strike from Leopoldo Polo Hernandez that went in with like 0.2 seconds on the clock. Great shot for the Empire player. Not much you could do about it. But after that, no team was able to open up more than a 1-goal lead. It was back and forth, back and forth. Again, like I said, very evenly matched from the two teams at the bottom of the table that are currently on the outside looking in for the MASL playoff. Play that changed the game. Brandon says that it was the Orozco goal to tie it at 5. Really seemed like it lit a fire under Brian that he took as a personal challenge to be more involved. For me, it was the play that changed the game was Nilton coming back. He missed the first 11 games of the season. We stated several times that we needed a second scoring threat, and Nilton's return obviously provided that. I mean, if you go up against this team without him, I don't know if Utica can keep pace with their high-powered offense. From what we'd seen from Utica and then what we saw on Sunday, the consistency just isn't quite there this year. Yes, it's a young team. We know well about that. We know that there have been injuries that have hurt it. But, just getting Nilton back, who was your point leader, I believe, each of the last 2 seasons, or no, I think he came up just short 2 years ago when Frank Tayu was here. But he was the second highest scorer on the team that season, if that was the case. And it's pretty much just, it's a great mid-season acquisition if you want to look at it that way, but it's the kind of piece that you wish you'd had all year. Injuries happen. It's unfortunate. We're grateful to have him back. But that's really all there is to say about it. Again, great game. Entertaining. Probably the most entertaining game Utica's had this year. You got 3 points, which Brandon and I did not predict. We both had them losing this game. If me having it going to overtime, and I was 30 seconds away from having that prediction right that it would go to overtime. And if it went to overtime, who knows? I'd give the advantage to the home team in overtime, which is what I did in my prediction. Obviously, it didn't come out. I'd much rather have the 3 points. Saturday's game, for as good as the team looked on Thursday, Saturday's game was a reminder of where Utica stood in the pecking order for the MASL. They were absolutely shellacked by the San Diego Sockers. And, if you didn't hear it 50 times in the broadcast, it was Craig Chow's bobblehead and alumni night. Which, thank you for promoting that, Craig, on the broadcast. I don't know if you needed to promote it 5 times a quarter. Brandon, for this one, points out that San Diego had double-digit shots in 2 of their quarters. Utica was never able to get more than 8 shots in a quarter. It was just an offensive onslaught from the Sockers. For me, it's that the Sockers had 3 streaks of 3 unanswered goals. Put it on mute. What's on mute? Kate, can you pull this up on your and tell me if I'm even talking?
So you might not have been talking this whole time, Dan?
I've been talking, but it shows that I have the mic, but now I'm saying put it on mute, and I don't know if that's Chet saying put it on mute, and I don't know if that's the mic is on mute, something's picking up something that's not supposed to. Kate, can you pull this up? Okay, so you can hear me. Tell me if I'm just talking.
So you might not
Oh, she put the stream on mute. Okay, that's what. Yeah, no, the Utica was just absolutely dominated in this game, offensively, defensively, in transition, on special teams, on set pieces. It was a reminder that without the benefit of playing San Diego, 1, at home, 2, rested, and 3, they were coming off of a game less than 24 hours later, Utica is just in a different class of team this year. Um, three goals and three streaks of three or more unanswered goals. Sports are a game of runs, and if you're going to give up runs like that, you're not going to win very many games. This was the San Diego Sockers team that we expected to see on paper before the season started. And if they're just whipping into shape now at midseason, they're going to be scary down the stretch for the rest of the league. Luckily, this is all we have to see of them. Play that changed the game. Brandon and I are in agreement on this one. It was that second goal from San Diego. Utica had just answered a few minutes before to tie it at 1, and then they get a set piece in the corner, chip it over the defense from Childs. He finds Leo, and Leo just buried it. Brandon says it just kind of showed that how much skill the team had versus Utica, and that they were more creative on this day. Yeah, I mean it really, really set the tone. I think if Juan doesn't jump on that, and where he jumps, the ball goes under him, finds the net. If he just stays put, picks up the block, who knows how the rest of the first quarter goes? You might hang with him a little longer, but it lit a fire under San Diego, and they were off and running from there. There was not much else that Utica could do. That was the play that changed the game. I mean, Utica caught back up a little bit in the third quarter. They cut it to a 2-goal lead, 5-3. But then Gonzalez found the net a minute and 24 seconds after Utica did, and that absolutely killed momentum. Anything that was going Utica's way was immediately snuffed out, and it was basically all San Diego from there. What needs to change coming out of this weekend? Got to clean up the defense. Mistrailing runners, jumping when we need to stand still. They're still diving. There were some bad passes in the defensive third that led to great chances and a couple goals between the two games. Just, they're young, they're inexperienced, they're learning. I'm trying to give them that grace. But it's also the kind of stuff that you get yelled at about in, varsity and JV and modified, is you don't play with the ball in front of your goal, you don't pass across your goal face. Teams aren't immune to it. That's how Willie Spur was able to get his goal in this game. And, he capitalized on a bad pass from the Sockers in their own defensive third. But you can't count on other teams to make those mistakes. And you really need to clean it up so that you aren't making those mistakes. Let me scroll up on my show notes here quick. Oh, crisper passing. Kind of jumps right off of your comment there in the chat, Tammy. The passing, especially on Saturday's game, was inconsistent, to say the least. A lot of times there was too much on the ball, and then players would over-correct and put too little on it. So you're getting a ball that's not something the receiving player can handle when you're putting too much on it, or you're missing him completely. On the stuff that was too slow, didn't have enough on it, San Diego's jumping those passing lanes and running away with it. It just, again, it was what you would expect to see from a team that intends to compete for the Ron Newman Cup this year, and another one that quietly entered their second rebuild in 4 years and is relying on a majority of the roster having less than 2 years of experience in the league. Positive takeaways. Offense showed life in the Empire game. Yeah, big chunk of that has to do with the way Empire's style of play is, where they play 6 men up so that you can get behind them, beat them, you can push them back. It takes a lot more energy from players to run that. So if you're running your lines a little bit more efficiently than they are, you're going to be able to capitalize. Nilton's return, probably the brightest spot from the weekend. He wasn't able to find the net or an assist in the San Diego game, but most of the team wasn't. His first game, though, 2 goals, 2 assists, is already stated. The game winner. It's huge to have him back. This team desperately needs somebody to take the pressure off of Pinal. And I think we saw it this weekend, because the other bright spot from this weekend is Pinal had his first consecutive multi-point games. He had 4 points, just like Nilton in the game against Empire. He had 2 points in the game against San Diego. Those are the first 2 consecutive ones he had since early January. A streak that I think went back 5 games where he wasn't able to put them back to back after he was averaging 3 points a game early in the year. But, we're going to have to rely on those 2 a lot down the stretch if this team is going to try to make a push for the playoffs. Let's recap the first half. Just kind of a look back. We know it was rough as Utica fans. I mean, just look at the standings. We're 13 games in, but through the first 12, the team was 4-6-2. They are last place in the league in standings. They are last place in the league in goal differential. Not a great place to be. How did we get here? Well, in the month and a half leading up to the season, Andrew Coughlin and Nate Bordeaux, both veteran leaders on this team who came with the franchise from Syracuse Silver Knight days, announced their retirement. You're not going to replace that kind of leadership and experience overnight. And it doesn't help when 3 veteran players on the team that were expected to contribute more than they have due to injury have missed so much time. Gordy has only managed to play in 7 of the 13 games. He's been productive when he's out there, but he hasn't been out there that much. Dylan has 2 games back now. He missed the first 11. And that is, where he is in his career. He is a veteran leader on this team. And we've seen it in the past 2 seasons, and we saw it in the impact of the game on Thursday. He is an offensive threat that I know I'm repeating myself, but this team desperately, desperately needs. And the other one is Logan Roberts, who missed 11 games now. He played the first 2, picked up a lower body injury, and hasn't been back. We talk about the defense being inconsistent and prone to rookie and inexperienced mistakes. Well, that is the kind of player that can offer, speed out of the back as well as that veteran leadership. He was also given the captainship before the season, and he just hasn't been able to contribute. And it's unfortunate. Arguably, the biggest loss occurred last year when Kelvin left for the Kings League and has not been back since. Tammy, I don't have any word on Logan. As we've complained about several times on this show, the team does a very poor job of relaying any injury information or timelines. Kelvin's lost to the Kings League. I mean, he was far and away the MVP candidate when he played in this league last year. But then the upstart Kings League, which didn't exist when they signed him originally in the for the playoffs in 2023-24. Look, I'm not going to begrudge anybody for going to take a job that pays them more and gets them working closer to home. He's from Brazil. The league plays in Brazil. But boy, could this team use him. But we don't want him around if he's only going to be here for part of the season and not when it matters, which would be the playoffs. And then Pinal has been the biggest bright side in all of this, I would say. He has emerged as a top scoring threat in the league. His 27 points are tied for third most. His 15 goals, tied for fourth most. 12 assists, tied for third most. 2.1 points per game, tied for second. His 2 power play goals are tied for second. And his shorthanded goal is tied for second. He has carried this team offensively, and we can only hope that with Nilton coming back, it can help share some of that load, take some of that pressure off from a player who's only in his second season in the league. He still has plenty of time to develop and become even more dangerous. Yes, we did lose Vinny. I guess I didn't mention that just because we knew about it before the season, but he never really announced it until later. But yeah, that's another veteran offensive player who could have helped carry the burden early in the season. Again, I'm not going to begrudge any player for choosing to, spend more time with their family, spend more time with their kids. And given the way this winter has been, can't blame them for wanting to be in Texas over the bitterly cold Northeast. But yeah, it's been a rough season so far for Utica and its fans. It's hard to say if this team can turn a corner. I don't know. I really don't know. I know I'm kind of rushing through things, but that's mostly because I don't have anyone to bounce things off of. So it's kind of going a bit faster. There's not the communication between Brandon and I to comment back and forth, but we are already at predictions. It's going to be a short episode. I don't know what to tell you. Sunday, this team plays Baltimore. Baltimore plays St. Louis on Saturday. There's one thing we've seen with Baltimore is that they struggle on the second day of back-to-backs. They struggle on the larger field away from CQ Arena. And these two teams hopefully have cooled off a little bit since the last time they played. Yes, dear?
I like the fighting part.
I know you like the fighting parts, but we don't need to see anybody, throwing fists and breaking noses.
I'll have to get my fix from this hockey game on Saturday then.
Yeah, have fun with that. Brandon has Baltimore down, losing this one. Has Utica winning this one 5-4 in overtime. Weirdly enough, I am more optimistic about this game. Given the fact that Utica will be rested, Baltimore will be tired from playing the day before. They have to travel. They don't do well on the bigger field. I have Utica taking this one 6-3. I just expect a little more. Yes, Jack, the fighting part is good for views. You do have that.
Jack.
Look, I've said it before, I like the villains. I have nothing against villains. Just, we got to figure out, as a league, how to handle them fairly and with a little less bias, I think. Yes, Caitlin?
Give them pets on the head and give them cookies.
I don't think that's how you handle it when somebody spits on another person.
No, that means no cookies.
Oh, they still get pets on the head, though?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I am the problem.
But yeah, no, we both have this as a win. I've got Utica picking up 3 points. Brandon has them picking up 2. We'll see what happens on Sunday. Rivalry games are always fun. And if you aren't going out on Saturday night for Valentine's, Sunday's a great day to treat that special someone to entertainment. Unless you gotta work. Like moi.
Mm-hmm.
In Monday's game, they play St. Louis. As said, it's the first time they're playing the ambush all season. The surprising part for St. Louis is that their leading goal scorer isn't Will Eske or Utica or Robbie Cristo, though those last two have dealt with injuries. It's Torrealba, who was signed from the Texas Outlaws after that team folded in the offseason. He has 18 points in 13 games, leads the team. He's a little fiery. Another guy to keep an eye on. I could very much see him and Genrich getting into it. They both seem to have that physicality, scrappy play that gets under people's skin. But their biggest weapon is, no surprise, it's Paulo Nascimento in goal. Paulo's been the best goalkeeper in the league this year at 40 years old. Is a sub 5.00 goals allowed per game this year, and a 725 save rate. I haven't checked the leaderboard on that farthest point, but I believe those were leading the league, at least going into the game that they played on Sunday. Let's see what I can pull up here real quick. Paulo leads the league. Goals allowed, save percentage, and saves. He's got 32 more saves than anyone else. Just having a renaissance year. It's going to be a tough nut to crack offensively. Which is why Brandon and I had a split decision on this one. Brandon has Utica winning this one 7-4. I, on the other hand, am a little more pessimistic this time. I've got St. Louis winning it 6-5. I just think that given the fact that St. Louis is almost definitely going to travel and watch the game on Sunday, Jack, I gotta agree with that. Paulo for goalkeeper of the year. He's been phenomenal. You can't have the best save rate, have the best goals allowed, and face the most shots and not be in the running. He could arguably be in the running for MVP if the ambush can climb a little higher in the standings. But as I was saying, St. Louis gets to travel the same day on Sunday to catch the game. They can watch it live. They can do their little bit of scouting, talk about what they see. They're going to have a little more rest than Utica's going to have. And they've played pretty well this year. They've gone toe-to-toe with Milwaukee, Kansas City, stolen a couple games from them, which, I mean, there's a reason why they're fourth in the standings. One of the few, there's only 5 teams with winning records, and they're one of them. You look at Baltimore's only got one more win than Utica. Empire only has one more win. So Utica's not that far out of it, but they are when you realize that Baltimore is up 5 points and has a game in hand. So Sunday's game is crucial. The one thing that St. Louis has as a knock against them is they do have a negative goal differential. And they are 2-2-2 away from the family center, family arena, whatever it is, in St. Charles. But Utica has not played good at home. They're 2-4-1. And if you can't defend your home turf, you're basically done in this league. yeah, that's really all I've got to talk about tonight. I know it's a short one. I know it's fast. I know there's some tech problems. Usually Brandon's the one running the production side of things. So we're just trying to get things going with him having that work commitment. I guess I'll open it up, see if there's any questions in chat before I close it down. Two games, two big ones on the schedule this weekend, and Utica is pretty much caught up with the league in terms of games played. Only Empire and Kansas City have played more, and Baltimore's the only team that's played less. Pardon me. Yeah, fastest episode. I kind of talk a little faster when I'm on my own, and without having someone to bounce things off of, comment, response. It's pretty easy to get it down to a 30-minute runtime. But you guys know where to find us on social media, Instagram, Meta stuff, Facebook. We got the... Oh, I'm sorry. Guess I'm going to bed early tonight. We got the TeePublic shop, though apparently, if anyone stayed up for the entire broadcast against Empire, to accommodate Philly, I have to come up with something for no penal, no party. Brandon has already called me out on this, so at some point I have to try to get around to a good design for that. Next week we will be doing a Tuesday show because of the game on Monday. Give us time to, digest what we see. And thank you for tuning in. Subscribe, bell notification if you don't want to miss lives. Otherwise, those of you that joined in chat, have a good evening. And go Utica. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast on whatever podcast app you use. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to interact with us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it. We have a TeePublic shop where you can get UCFC player swag or help support the podcast. Thank you. We appreciate it. And one last thing, go Utica City.